before you leave a dislike in the video, this is just a very personal experience with the game, and this is my personal reasons for why I don't want to play the game anymore. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Hopefully you don't flag this video. Hopefully you don't send me too much hate. But there's a reason why I quit World of Warcraft. Or there are two main reasons why I quit World of Warcraft Classic. And I'm going to pretty much explain why right now. Alright, so number one is I've pretty much seen everything that I've wanted to see. Now, did I finish AQ40? No. But did I get to AQ40? Which is a huge accomplishment for me. And we downed like most of the bosses in AQ40, so I can't be mad about that. That is huge amounts of progress for a guild that wasn't super serious about raiding. Like, we were just a small time guild. Like, we had 40 members max for a raid or something like that. Like, we just had the bare minimum to go through, and we had a blast. It was a tight-knit crew, and when it comes down to it, right, like, that's great progress. And if I'm gonna be honest, back when I played vanilla World of Warcraft some 15 years ago, right, I couldn't raid at all. Like, I was 12 or 13, and like, dude, I had a curfew for like what time I had to turn off the computers and stuff like that, and as much as I'd like to sneak on and play some hours extra, you know, I would always get caught. So with that being said, right, after I played vanilla World of Warcraft not having been able to raid, I did revisit the game again through private servers, and I managed to go through Molten Core and finish that, and I felt this great wave of accomplishment there as well. I felt really proud of myself, despite the fact that I pretty much died on Ragnaros on like the first few seconds of it, basically. I got carried through that shit. But this time around, I got the AQ40. Dude, that's amazing. I just genuinely feel like I don't need to see anymore, right? I don't have to get to Cthulhu, or I don't have to beat Cthulhu, right? I saw everything I wanted to see, right? I had the whole leveling experience. I got the PvP a little bit. I had my fun with that, but overall, that's all I ever wanted to see and do in this game. And I got to relive the game, especially in a completely new light, because I played a rogue on the private servers, and on the vanilla WoW servers way back 15 years ago, right? Back when it was vanilla or just classic WoW, whatever. I used to play a hunter. So, of course, a 12-year-old would play a hunter, but this time around I got to play a druid, and if I'm going to be honest, I did try leveling alts just to make the game more fun, or just try different classes. And honestly, every time I tried a different class, I just felt like I would rather play my druid, or I would rather play a druid, right? Because druids can pretty much do everything in the game. Not the best, but they can do everything. And I think that sort of spoiled the joy of leveling an alt when you're just like, I wouldn't have this problem if I was playing my druid, or I could probably tank this dungeon if I was my druid, or I could probably heal this dungeon if I was my druid. But unfortunately, I play a class that has, you know, 1 or 2 roles at most. Whereas I really got spoiled with playing a druid as my main, because it was like, if they needed a tank, I could try to tank. If I needed a healer, I could heal, and if I needed some damage, there I was doing damage. So yeah, that's it for reason number 1. And now the second reason is I just simply didn't want to spend more time in the game, because most of the time that I spent in the game was either farming gold so that I could buy raid consumables, farming raid consumables so I could save a little bit of money, and so I would have mana as a balanced druid, of course, because you need those demonic or dark runes. And 3, it was basically just that, you know? Just that, and then on like Fridays and Saturdays, it'd be raid night, so you would spend, 3 or 4 hours raiding. And I hate to say it, but I just didn't feel like I wanted to go through that every single week. It felt more like a job than anything else, and I don't know about you, but I'm not a big fan of turning pleasure into a job. World of Warcraft is something that I do for funsies. It's not something that I take too seriously. And so when it comes down to like farming raid mats and farming raid consumables, which by the way you should do, hands down you should do. I'm not saying that you can't or you shouldn't. I'm saying you absolutely must do these things. And honestly, I didn't feel like doing that anymore. And the more that I spent playing the game and drudging along and farming all this stuff for 2 or 3 hours at most on the Saturdays and Sundays and Fridays or whatever, the raid nights, right? I just didn't feel like it was, it didn't feel as fulfilling or rewarding. And as I said earlier, I didn't have the most fun playing alts. Simply because if I was playing my Druid, I would have been like, dude, I could have done that on my Druid. Or I really wish I was on my Druid right now so I could do this or do that. And so every time I leveled an alt, it was fun for a while. Like you could come up with some goofy strategies or like my Spirit Warrior build or whatnot. But it was just, I just couldn't play the game the way that I used to anymore. Like it just wasn't, after I've seen it all and after I've done it all, it just felt like the more time that I spent on the game was just extra. And if I'm gonna be honest, the reason why I farmed the mats and the raid gear and the raid consumes and all of that, and I got all my gear enchanted and all of that, was just to spend time with my guild at Fridays and Saturdays, right? If it wasn't for my guild, and I know this sounds a little hyperbolic, I really wouldn't have played the game for as long as I did, right? Like when I got to Nefarian, when I took down Nefarian with my guild, right? Now obviously I wasn't part of the progression at the time, but we did manage to take down Nefarian a couple times. I felt like that was it for me. I didn't really need to go any further than that, right? But I decided to continue raiding with them. I decided to continue playing the game more and more, and I always had fun raiding with my guild. It's just that the more time that I spent not raiding with the guild, it just sort of took the fun out of the game for me. Like, I've tried PvPing. I'm not the biggest fan of PvP in classic World of Warcraft. I mean, I used to be one of those people who played back in, like, I don't know, the Burning Crusade or Wrath of the Lich King, and I was like, man, I really miss the days when you could like stun lock people or you could come up with goofy strategies. Like, I miss when resilience wasn't a thing, so like you could basically keep your opponent locked down forever, and it was super cheesy and goofy and not really fun to play on the other side, right? Not basically deny your opponents any fun and whatnot. But PvP in World of Warcraft Classic is just, oh, it's a bit of a shit show, if I'm gonna be honest. I as much as it's funny and goofy to like one-shot somebody, it's just genuinely like, yeah, I can see why they fixed that. I can see why PvP is a little bit different nowadays, right? And probably for the best. Anyways, with that being said, that's pretty much the only two reasons why I quit playing the game. It's just that I've seen everything. I've done everything that, at least for my personal standards, right? I've seen everything and I've done everything, and I just didn't feel like playing the game anymore, primarily because of how much of a time sink it was. So, without further ado, that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, whatever. You know what I mean? And I'll see you guys next time.